Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Belegian.
Hey, what is going on? I'll go to Motor City 2. I'll go to Greektown. I'll go to MGM. I'll go every one of those places. Hubie, Mike, Coach Hunter, Sean Belegian. Game 5. A lot of us didn't think we'd be here. One of us thought we'd be here, but a lot of us didn't think we'd be here. All right, before we look ahead to Game 5, what the puck happened in Game 4? We heard from Hubie and Coach last week. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week because it was Saturday. All right, your vantage point, because you blew us off for good reason. You went to a wedding. What did you see? What did you see on Saturday?
I saw from the get-go a team that had their brain somewhere else. Whether they got ahead of themselves planning the parade or not, but they had a mental block. And Hubie, Coach, you guys could attest to this. You've been in sports before. When you mentally block, your body shuts down. They had dead legs, and everyone before the game was talking about they're in better shape than Edmonton. They're showing it. They showed 45. Their legs were dead. They had nothing. It looked like the series we thought would be the West versus the East, the faster team, the bigger team. Yep. That's what I saw. Everything went right one way. Everything went wrong the other way. And they took it. Edmonton took advantage of it. It's what it is. It happens.
No, and you know what? To me, what it jumps out to, and we were talking about this last night. This whole theory that teams throw games is out of their minds. I do not believe it in a heartbeat. However, let me throw this in there. There is a different mentality and a different approach when you're up 3-0 in a series and you've made it look relatively easy. I'm not saying that they threw it in any way, shape, or form, but it was almost a subtle reminder to me, like, oh, yeah, did we forget how we got here? Because Edmonton took it to them.
I would love, sorry to cut you, I would love to hear someone seriously argue the point that a team one game away from the Stanley Cup is going to throw that game just to come back. Because, again, nothing's guaranteed. And you're talking about two of the greatest goal scorers we know right now, and Draisaitl and McDavid, an Edmonton team that just didn't beat you 4-3, just steamrolled you and made you look dumb 8-1. Anything can happen. And here's another reason why. And I've got it right here. Have you guys seen this one come out where Edmonton 3 times during the season?
Ray shared it with me.
Did you see that, Hubie? Did you see it, Coach? All right, so everybody's seen it. But let's just, for those that may not have, let's run these facts. They lost 3 straight in November. They came back with 8 straight wins. They lose 3 straight in December. A 16 games.
They were all right. They were
3 straight losses. They come back with 5. They just lost 3, and someone's going to throw a game and give them that.
No, sir.
Not a chance. Never happened.
And I heard the stat today that Bob, after a loss, under 2.0 goals against.
He's 4-1 with a 1.97 to be exact.
And your point that to throw the game, there is no way. I commented on your show last night. You don't give anybody. I don't care who you're playing. Yeah. You don't give them that chance. You want to end it. You want to cut their throat as soon as possible.
Yep.
Because you never know. Like Mike said, you never know what's going to happen. Here we go. Lose 3, and who?
I mean, the other day in that game, it was 2-1. They had that 2-on-1. Verhaeghe flubbed the 2-on-1, the shot on the 2-on-1.
Yeah.
He scores that. Where does that game go?
Yeah.
We're tied at 2.
Yep.
You gotta love this right here. It's hard to put a team away. That's also something you see. Like it.
How many times you heard
this is what I was talking
that?
about. I said it is underrated at that statement. Like, it is so hard, and you'll see that. You might see that tonight. That last win is the hardest win.
They grip the stick a little bit tighter than they would in Game 3 because they know they're trying to end it right now, and they figure we got to do it. You got to play the game. And like Mike said, legs were shot even from the start. They didn't have any jump.
Ray said that was the NHL version of what Dallas did in Game 4 of the NBA Finals, playing with pride, playing at home, no doubt about that. Nick said, after they slept in game 4, Florida wakes up tonight and wraps it up, but it's hard to put a team away, no doubt. 8-1. I turned it off when Oil got their 5th goal. Ted, good evening, fellas. Good evening, Ted, up in the Saginaw area. Ray, Edmonton played how people expected, and Florida has the layover as an excuse. You know what, though?
No.
I want to say this. When you know the Stanley Cup is in the building, and listen, here's the dirty little secret. They have all that champagne and beer ready. They hide it. So the boys won't see it. That shit gets in your head. It does. It creeps in your head a little bit. They got jumped. I don't want to take anything away from Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
They got jumped. I'm going to say it again. I cannot believe Edmonton made it to the Stanley Cup Finals with their deficiencies. I mean, no disrespect. If anything, that's a tip of the cap. But let's call it for what it is. Edmonton jumped them. To me, no excuse. And Ray, I'm not saying that you're using the excuse. If Florida can say, well, the travel and whatever. They got jumped. There's no other way to say that.
If travel comes into play at all, it would have been game 3.
Yeah.
Not that they already played a game and they had a day off, 2 days off or whatever to sit and rest, whatever. Your legs from travel are the first day.
Yep.
It's not the second game.
Mm-hmm.
Until you get old, and then like when you have those marathon broadcasting days that we've all had, it's not the next day, it's the day after.
And the day after.
Yeah, and then the day after that, and then the day after that. We were talking about that during the state finals.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you. It was like Tuesday. I'm going, I'm a mess. The state finals were 3 days ago. I'm a flipping mess.
Same thing with Trenton Showcase.
Yeah. That's right.
Sit there and
Well, we did 71 games. Did we do 71 that day?
72.
72 games.
But 3 days later, you just feel like you run 3 marathons and you haven't slept.
Bill, I think it's been a fascinating final thus far, hoping that Edmonton could force a game 6. Ray, it's crazy how no one is saying, did they wake the sleeping giant after game 4? It was funny. I did say, and again, you can file this in the what do you expect a head coach to say department. But, Knobloch, to his credit, said, I can't wait for the next week. He goes, I know what this team's capable of. I know where their heads are at. They're fine. And you know what? They went out and played like a team that, knew that they were okay.
I was gonna say that's something I think that's got to scare Florida.
Yeah.
Is they didn't pack it in, because someone did pack it in last year, and that was the Panthers.
100%.
When they were done. They packed it in and went home, and it's almost like they're expecting that, and that's got to scare. I can't say they're too scared, but that's got to scare them that they came out and played their A game. This is what we're gonna do, and guess what? We're gonna do this in your barn. And if you come out like this again, it'll be 9-0.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep going. And
It'll
we're
be
going to
in the
keep
back of
going.
Florida's head.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Hubie, you played at a much higher level than I mean, you wipe those games out. They're called trash can games. You just throw the film in there. You don't even watch the game. You throw it out and you get ready.
You try to wipe those games out.
But again, they're professionals. These guys do this. And Kachuk said that's all Kachuk talked about. When they asked it, he goes, well, that game's over. We got to wake up tomorrow, and we've got to win our film sessions and the day off tomorrow. And then we have to win the next day. And then we have to win the next day.
Yeah.
They effed up. They dropped the ball. They looked like they did when they lost to Detroit. What was that game right towards the end of the season where they were taking off, whatever it was. So I can't think that's.
But again, we go back to it. They got that in the back of their mind. Cups in the building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at home. You have family, friends, all this stuff there. It's going to be interesting, but
a little bit more pressure.
But we haven't Florida's had spurts, but we haven't seen their A game.
Nope. I agree with you. No, I
saw
agree
their
with
F game.
Oh yeah, we did.
We have seen it. It's funny that that's almost the forgotten point. Through the first 3 games, that's something we talked about every game. It's like, wow, they haven't played their best yet. They haven't played that Florida Panther. We're just going to smother you. Sandpaper playoff grit. Pull out every stupid. We've seen pieces of it. And Hubie, like we were talking about, if you go back to game 3, when they had that sequence of goals in the second period, it wasn't like Florida was all over them.
53 seconds of OT.
That was seriously. It was.
In
It
this
was
whole second period. It was
that.
nothing.
I mean that was the it was the counter rush. It was like, all right, guys, so now it's time for us to go the other way, and the puck ended up in the back of the net. So I think a game tonight. I really do. I mean, for all those reasons that you said, cup in the building, family and friend there. This is a different thing because, like, we could go in the history books. There have been finals, and you brought up last year, okay? Like, Florida was done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were, and there have been other finals. Like, I think back to the Caps, okay? The Washington Capitals were done.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Philly had some fight in '97, if you remember. You know, that was a closer game. The Caps were done. They had their heart taken out with Tikkanen with the miss and everything. They were done. So there have been finals like that where you were able. That's the thing with Edmonton wasn't done in game number 4, clearly. Yep. And I don't think they're going to be done tonight. I don't think Florida rolls them.
Let's take a look where it started. They weren't done in the last 5 minutes of game 3.
Yeah.
And that's where that
started.
No, you're
right.
They rolled right into that.
And McLeod had that great chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was an unbelievable save. That was an
overtime.
unbelievable. And we're 2-2 possibly. I mean, it started there. There was a turning point in that Dallas game, in that Dallas series where they just took over and outscored them 11-2, I think, to win that series. Mm-hmm. So if Florida does not bring their A game, there's one thing right now. I mean, there's not a lot of guarantees that I would put money on is that Edmonton's going to bring that A game. However, if Florida brings their A game, it's not going to mean anything in my mind. And the number one person that has to bring their A game is Mr. Guarantee. If you saw it, Kachuk put the guarantee out there. He has not scored, I think, in 15 games. He has 1 point in 15 games. That grit is not there. It's stupid grit that showed, giving McDavid the noogies and stuff after the game was over. Down? Is he hurt? That's my big thing.
Last year.
Is he hurt? Now, I mean, obviously he can tie his shoes this year, but he has to have an A game. And I'll tell you what, I know someone sitting on this couch that laid money on that A game coming. It is stupid to get excited about guarantees because what's he going to say? You know what? We're going to lose this series. We're going to lose tonight. I'm going to play like shit. It's not going to happen.
I don't buy it.
But what it says to me is he now put that out there. I don't know if he's going to score. I'm going to be honest. You could just be snake bitten, but that line does play well at home. Rodriguez scored 150 goals in the first 2 games. I think that he's going to have a nice game because he's always in those dirty places. I took an over in his shots prop. Like I think that's just it. So I think he's going to play. He's got to play on that edge, and he's got to be on the right side of the edge. But there's got to be an edge to his game.
Nice to see. Look at our boy Jimmy Young. Ray said, "What happens if Bob lets a goal in on the first shot? Can Edmonton quiet the crowd?" That's a good. I would be stunned if that happens because I don't know. He didn't look like Piss Bob the other day. He looked like Focus Bob the other day. And that I don't know. That's a little scary as far as I'm concerned. Do you think it was better for Florida to get steamrolled rather than lose it in OT? Easier to throw a blow-up game in the trash. I agree with that.
100%.
I've watched, going back, here we go. If you are playing the over-under game, here you go. We were talking about teams that mailed it in that had their hearts taken from them. That 93 series of the Habs and Kings. Yeah. You had 3 games in a row go to the final. You could see it on the Kings' face. When Leclerc scored in game 4, both games in LA, the Leclerc scored, the Habs win. You could see it. You were like, oh my gosh, how bad is the next game going to be? And it was one game that may as well have been 11-1. Trust me when I say that. So
and I will still say, getting to what you were talking about right when you started there, that was more on Florida than it was on Bob.
Oh, agreed. They got jumped. They got jumped.
And they looked like crap in front of them. Jumped. They took them out. Was that the first goal?
But you know as well as I do, a goaltender's he's going to say that's on me. And that's a good thing. That's his fuel going into tonight. You know that.
But I will always say this. We know, Coach, you know this. The overriding messages to the team. You embarrassed your goalie.
Yep.
You left him. You hung him out to dry. You played the opposite of the game we play.
Yep.
And that's exactly what had happened. They didn't skate. They didn't use the legs that they're supposed to have. I will be. We haven't been shocked by much this year, but I will be shocked if we see a repeat of that.
Jason said 3-leg Panthers win. Draisaitl, Verhaeghe, anytime scores. Random flyer, second leg SGP. Since I believe it will be the last game. Kachuk, Barkov, Bennett, anytime scores. What do you think? You're a gambling guy.
Oh man, Draisaitl, hasn't scored in a while. The goal ones are so tough because just not knowing what this game is going to look like. And a little stat for those taking goal props that in the last 3 years, the under in games 5, 6, and 7 are like 69%. It's like 35, 13, and 2 or something, like something ridiculous to go to the under in these games, especially when it's a closeout game, right? So goal ones are hard. Kachuk, you got a guy that hasn't scored in 15 games.
He's way
Barkov's going to be locked down. Look, I'm rooting for you. I'm going to tell you that. I'm 100% rooting for you, except for the Draisaitl goal, and I can explain that at another time. but I'm with this guy. I've got a monster going. But it's all good.
Speaking of which, what's going to happen with Draisaitl at the end of the season? That's $1 million question. I mean, is Edmonton going to open the vault? Is he going to say go pound sand and go play someplace else? That's going to be really, really intriguing.
You're going to have him, McDavid, Bouchard, probably close to $40 million.
It's going to depend on what happens in this series.
Oh, 100%.
If they go to 6 or 7 games, they go to 7 games, automatically, I think he's going to stay.
I'm not even talking. If they win, and I don't think it's up to him because of how much money they got. I think that if they win, they bring the guys back, and we're going to get this going. If they lose, because he's got another year left, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's got another year.
He's got 1 year left.
Then they have that decision to make, and I still think they'd make one more run with him to see how it goes. But he is as good as signed if they win the cup.
Now I got to.
I agree 100%.
Dude, I mean, what do you in the offseason with them on like Campbell? Who's going to take that contract on? You're stuck with that contract.
But aren't we always surprised? There's always someone to take.
There's always
someone that, I mean, maybe a buyout. I mean, you just the way they can work things. But I mean, that's But if they win, who cares, right? I mean, it's really who cares if they win. They've shown they did it with a guy that has like an 8.95 save percentage. Come on. That it won't matter. What'd you find out, Coach?
No, it's saying next year. Next year.
Okay.
Little known fact tonight, all coincidence probably, but O'Rourke is wearing the stripe tonight. Our buddy Jimmy Young up in Houghton. Shout out to all the gremlins up there. Florida is 4-0 in playoff with him reffing. Edmonton is 0-4. Ooh, that's a little gambling angle right there for Mike.
I see. Here's the thing: is I was explaining to you guys, I don't have to take a side tonight. I've got my sides, and my sides are big. And that's a great thing about the 3-0 deficit is everything Edmonton was so inflated. I did not have to throw much on it to get the same out on both of them. So I'm all right on sides.
Good.
Now it's just fun.
Sean just put in the pregame dip. I'll probably have 3 more before the end of the first period. It's not only losing 8-1. Florida has to be PO'd and will come out with fire. We'll see their A game. They got jumped. They did. Ray said 2-1 final tonight, defensive game. Ray, are you sticking with Edmonton? Are you? I think my guess is you're sticking with Edmonton.
He nailed us. Watching the show.
Oh, yeah. Dave, you got us. The dude taking the shot to the Nads was funny. But listen, I'm not going to lie. Poor Mike is sitting there trying to make this great point. And I'm 5 over here. Oh, I got hit in the Nads. Oh, I'm giggling.
And they showed it more than once.
Gordy said Bob is solid tonight. Matthew scores the winner on some garbage. 3-1, meaningless prediction. Don't put a penny on it.
Oh, come on, Gord. How about 3-0?
I said the same thing. I said 3-1 for what it's worth. I
you did?
Yeah, 3-1. I'm going 3-1. Well, and now don't forget last game. I got that. I may have got the scores right in the first 3 games, but I missed mightily in game 4.
We all did.
Yeah. Bill said I want a 3-leg grill master. Sean, chorizo, brats, and ribs parlay. We could do that. Chorizo, brats, and ribs. The only thing missing really is the ribs. So for what it's worth tonight, we have chorizo and Dewey sausage, smoked sausage, Rinaldi's Motor City sausage, and then I smoked some wings and then just hammered them on the grill at high heat just to crisp them up a little bit. Ray said, as a Leaf fan, I would trade Martyr for Draisaitl straight up. And I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
Ray's sticking with Edmonton tonight. So we'll see. You know, it's this is, I think the league likes it. There's interest in this now. I mean, when you win a game like that, if Edmonton just comes away, you know, with a little victory and everything, you know, people aren't feeling the same way tonight, I think, you know, but now the intrigue is, okay, how does Florida bounce back? I mean, they got jumped. And no other way to say that. Give Edmonton full marks, man.
I want to
Edmonton's
say,
making it a little interesting here.
I think it's the best thing that could happen for Florida. I think a tight game. Their brains are still going screwy. That 8-1 was a wake up, an embarrassment, a wake up call. And we've liked this team for a long time. This is a good team. This is a proud team. They're not going to let that lie.
I think we all picked Florida from the start, didn't we?
Yeah.
Plus, they got out of kilter late game 3, running around a little bit.
Yeah.
I think. Now they ended the game great down in that corner, pinning it down there. But
yeah,
I had Florida, Colorado. That was my final. And you know,
I think I had Florida, Dallas.
I was like,
Colorado just. There's another team. They better do something about their goaltending, man. I don't care what anybody
defense
says.
and goaltending.
Yeah, I could not believe how bad they were.
Oh, it's just like
I could not.
Yeah.
And we saw that late in the year. I remember we were talking. You were up late. You remember I was texting you. I was going, dude, there's something wrong with Colorado.
yeah.
Yes.
Like there's
I
something
remember
wrong.
you guys saying that. Yeah.
Like there's something wrong with Colorado. Like I saw them nights in a row, and everything was so easy against them. And I don't care. Even with their firepower, you can't keep putting yourself in positions like that. You just can't. You're going to get beat, you know?
Okay, here.
I
Edmonton.
was too goo-eyed over Nathan McKinnon to notice.
Okay, here's a little tidbit for all of us here. We're all so far against Skinner. You think he's for real?
No.
You think he's just?
I think he's already, you know what? Yeah,
fairy tale.
here's a name that we talked about. He's having a Kelly Rudy. He is.
Kelly Rudy.
He's an average goaltender at best. Who you know what? He's had a nice run. I don't think he's, you know,
100%.
I don't want to take anything away from him. He hasn't been shit, you know.
He's
But-
an NHL goalie.
Yeah, he's an
He's
NHL
not
goalie.
a great NHL goalie. You said he's an average NHL goalie. You can see that he makes some saves. The puck hits him at times. He's a big guy. But whether it's a head thing or what it is, he just doesn't make enough saves. He's got to make more saves. They protect him well, and he needs to make more saves. He's not.
Nurses on.
But so we've got
Or
some
CC.
people here. So let's ask him. Let's ask him Coach Hunter's question about McDavid.
Yeah, go ahead.
What?
Your question about McDavid to the people.
Oh, I was reading online today. Can McDavid be the MVP if Edmonton does not win the Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Yes. If I think the series has to go farther, this isn't like Reg Leach scoring the ungodly amount of goals that he did in 76 to win the Conn
400 goals or
Smythe.
whatever it was.
Yeah, that it is, and that I think the series has to go longer. I think if the series ends tonight, I would say no. I would say
Well,
no.
when Hextall got MVP when they lost,
That was
Game 7.
Yeah, game
Mhm.
7.
Yeah.
But
but still.
let's get back to what I said, that human element. Lore
And
will
the other
have
one.
it, right? Lore will have it that Leach won that one because Dryden had won it the year before. Am I correct?
No.
No, he didn't win it as a rookie?
No, but that was the first. That was 76.
Okay.
He did as a rookie, but that was
No,
76.
Okay, but since he had
Philly
won it
had
already-
won the last 2 cups, and then
Okay.
they got, you know, it was all
Since-
1 goal games.
But
if I'm not
since they had
mistaken.
won it, he had already won one,
Mhm.
and he had set the goal record there that they gave it. It's that human element. McDavid broke Gretzky's record. You break Gretzky's record. Everyone thought Gretzky, especially his playoff records, were untouchable.
Yeah.
Right? He broke it. He's on the verge, if this does go long enough, of catching 47. You know, the total points. So, but what I will say, I agree with you. It needs to go longer, unless let's say it's 5-4, 4-3, and he gets 3 or 4 points tonight. That could sway it.
All right.
Some goals go in on Bob, and he scores with Barkov on the ice. that human element could come in.
All right, now I'm sorry to go Rain Man and you guys all like when I go Rain Man. The losing players that have won the Conn Smythe are Crozier in 66, Leach in 76,
Only non-goal.
Hextall in 87, Jean-Sebastian Jaguar, which was a kind of a crock
that
of
was a
shit.
crime.
It was kind of a crock
That was
of
a
shit
crime.
in 03. So it's happened before. I think it would have to be extenuating circumstances. I think if the series ends tonight, if I had my way, if I were voting, I would give it to Barkov.
I agree.
I'd give it to Barkov.
Totally.
Barkov's been a beast the whole series, the whole playoffs.
Who would you give it to? You're shutting up right now. Are you thinking?
He's
Well, I can't give it out till this game's over because I think Barkov and
Okay,
Bob
Florida
are
wins.
that
Congratulations, fellow
Give me a
Panthers. 3-1.
3-1. So that I think that's enough points for McDavid to sway it. 3 goals on Bob. I go to Barkov.
Yep.
And that's Bob shuts him out. It's Bob.
Bill said, nice spread. Thank you. Ray said, Bettman has his way. It ends tonight. Skinner is Edmonton's version of Chris Osgood. Needs a team out in front to make him look good and comes up with a big save when needed.
Wow.
Chris, if you're watching.
Wow.
Chris, if you're watching.
Wow.
And this is a true story. Chris, if this gets back to you, okay, I've confessed my sins to you. I have. This is a true story. I had a conversation with Osgood, I think a year after the 08 playoffs. No, it was 2 years after the playoffs. And he actually congratulated me. He was like, I forget exactly what he said. He was like, okay, you're not as big a jerk as I thought and everything. I said, why? And he goes, I heard you admit you were wrong, and people don't do that on the radio. And I go, dude, you don't listen to me much. I said, I take pride in that. I said, I don't understand why people in my business. I was wrong about Chris Osgood, and here's why. Ray, 98, I agree with you. Skinner could have rolled with those Red Wings. I'm serious. Skinner could have rolled with those Red Wings. They probably would have won the Stanley Cup. Maybe the Caps take them to 7. I joke, I kid. Okay. Chris Osgood in 08, I think that's one of the bigger Conn Smythe robberies of all time. And I mean no disrespect to Hank Zetterberg. Period. End of story. The Wings don't forget winning the Stanley Cup. They don't beat Nashville in round 1 without Chris Osgood. Period.
Ding, 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 ding.
Period.
Yep.
They don't. People forget Hasek got yanked. And it was funny because I talked to a player, and if you think real hard, you could probably figure out who it is. But I talked to a guy from the Predators, and he said to me, we had them. Like after we tied the series 2-2, we had them. There was no doubt in our mind we were going to win that series against that loaded President's Trophy team. And then Chris Osgood came in. Yep. And if you remember, they won, the 4 straight or the 2 straight after that, then the 4 straight after that. And then they took the first 3 from Dallas. Osgood was phenomenal in 08. Phenomenal. And again, no disrespect to Hank. None, zero, zilch, nada. Chris Osgood was the Conn Smythe Trophy winner.
Yep. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
Goaltending is important, but teams are reluctant to draft goaltenders with high draft picks. Owen sounds Carter George is the real deal. Whoever drafts him is going to be very happy down the road. And it seems like it's been that way for a while because if you remember, there was that period. Remember Trevor Kidd? A lot of goaltenders went early. And that, that trend has been bucked for a while. I mean, Hal Price was 5th overall.
DiPietro.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Got to go to 7 for that. David said about if Florida ends it tonight, who wins the MVP? We all said Barkov. That's just
Yep.
Tim said 3-1 Florida. Last game was a game Florida knew they could afford to lose. Gordy said Barkov has to be the favorite. Nick said 4-2 Florida. Glenn Hall won the Conn Smythe as a losing Blues team too. Was it 60, 68? 68 maybe? It may have been 68. So good call there.
You guys weren't even born then.
Yeah, I don't know why I know that dumb shit. If Florida wins, who does Barkov give the cup to first? See, Ted wins 68 in Montreal. Isn't that funny? So think about it. It's happened against the Habs 3 times.
So you got to go. Oof.
Somebody.
You got to go Ekblad.
Ekman Larson.
Maybe Bob?
Bob's
Bob?
a thought. Bob's a thought there. But
maybe Bob?
You go with the guy that's been there, right?
Yeah,
usually they go with that long stander.
Long.
Ekblad's been there.
Yep.
He's been through some shit.
Oh yeah, yes.
Has anybody on Florida won the cup?
Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in 2019. Well, if you give me the roster, I'll tell you. But
yeah,
right off the
Tarasenko,
top of
and
my
there's
head.
one more.
If Florida wins, who does Barkov? 68 versus Montreal. Yep. Isn't that funny? 3 times against the Habs. 66 Crozier, 68 Hall, and then obviously Leach in 76. It's amazing how that works out. In my opinion, Belfour was the MVP that conference finals Wings Hawks series. Bill said Ozzy. Yeah, Ozzy was unbelievable in 08 and 09. He really was. He was unbelievable. And you have to give the guy all the credit in the world, too. If you remember, he changed his style. You know, he became a butterfly goaltender. And quite frankly, it extended his career. And he was outstanding down the stretch. Hall of Famer, by the way. I agree. I think it's
He's
crying.
got over 400 wins.
I think it's a crying shame he's not in. I really, and I'm not just saying that because I like the guy.
I agree 100%. I would like to know the thinking of the guys that vote on why he's not in.
Yeah.
When there's some other guys with less.
I think a lot of it
that are in.
is probably because of all the people like me who the first part of his career said he was just a passenger. And I stand by it. I thought he was. He didn't have to be exceptional. Remember the Langenbrunner goal? Remember?
Jamie
like,
Langenbrunner?
Yeah, there were so many moments where it's like, oh, come on, Chris, you got to make one big save.
Yeah.
But they won the Stanley Cup. I mean, the guy won a Stanley Cup. They don't win in 08 without Chris Osgood. They don't. I mean, it's just they don't.
He's got over 400
Rodriguez.
wins.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
With Colorado.
Yep. With Colorado.
I had to double check that.
Does he go Stevie and give it to Maurice? Oh, could you imagine that? Ray, that's a great point.
That's a great
point. That's a really great point, Ray. You've had 3 games of good, Bob. So Bill said the only thing I want to see in my lifetime is a Red Wings versus Blackhawks Stanley Cup final. How cool would that be? Boy, oh boy.
Wow.
I was 10 years old in 68. I was just a young lad growing up in the suburbs of St. Louis at the time. Ted, you know, the funny thing about it too is I think people forget the job that Scotty did there. I mean, Scotty, unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. You know, before he went back home and, you know, obviously won a slew in Montreal.
68, I was 7 years old then.
Yeah. What you were pointing at? What were you pointing at?
I totally forgot what I was doing. Oh, when you said the Blackhawks, I saying and they're being linked to Marner right now.
Really?
Yeah. So that'd be.
Do you want that around your young player?
I don't.
I don't want that in. You stay away from him.
Do you want that cancer coming around your franchise player?
I don't want him. My 19-year-old stud. I want nothing to do with it. No thank you.
Thanks, but no.
It was funny. Sorry to do this again. Gosh, I know I'm not going to say it. I'm going to catch myself.
Do it.
I was talking to a certain person, and we were talking about how crazy it is. You know, our generation grew up with the Wings in the West, right?
Yeah.
And so now the playoff possibilities. Do you know how great it would be to see another Wings Leaf series? You know, because the last time we saw it, they were both in the West.
Yeah.
You know, in 90, the Habs, they haven't played since 78. Like, think about that. They haven't played in the playoffs since 1978. Do you know how great would that series be?
Habs Leafs.
Oh, well, we saw that. That was kind of fun a couple of years ago. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I want to see it again.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
Bruins Wings.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
2 original 6 teams.
Yeah,
We almost had that this year. Wings Rangers, but
I think it would be fantastic. And you know, now those things, that's the only issue though, like in particular playing in this division, especially where it is right now, because you know, I think the Leafs are still here. I think my opinion, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I think you're going to see Tampa steadily go like this the next few years. I really do. I think the Leafs are still at a point, but again, you've got Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit. I still think Buffalo, there's too much talent there. Famous last words. We've been saying it for 20 years, but right now there's so much talent there. I mean, just on the talent alone, they got to be better, right? It's insane.
It's got to happen sooner or later.
Yeah. Let's see. Ted, similar situation to Berube coming in mid-season for the Blues in 18-19. Boy, did he flip that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, Pete. And even the Kings. Remember the Kings, that Kings team that was just unbelievable come playoff time. People forget they were a disaster, an absolute disaster. Bill said, excellent banter, fellas. Always love your shows. Thank you. You know what? You know what works about this? Number one, we're all friends. We're all hockey fans, and so are you. That's how this works. Like, cool. Just a bunch of dudes getting together and talking hockey. Ray said everyone wanted Detroit back in the East. You think they will regret it with the division it's in? Ray, yes. I don't know. I've said it for 2 years. I'm going to continue to say it. This division is a bitch. And if you think it's bad now, you're going to see Boston go like this. You're going to see Tampa go like this. You're going to see Montreal. You're going to see Detroit. You're going to see Ottawa, maybe Ottawa, and Buffalo go like that. I mean, seriously. And if you don't believe me, just look at what's in their system right now. It's
Those
insane.
are all good systems.
Yeah. Jeremiah, who was over here the other night, will you guys eat? I'm gonna grab some more in a second. So thank you for that.
Just a few minutes.
Gordy,
Sorry.
thank you. Great job, boys. Enjoy the game. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Maybe this is the last game. Maybe this is the last game. See, here's the thing. I can't do it Friday. So I'm kind of selfishly, hoping this is the last game. I can't do it Friday.
I'm with you on that one. I can't do Friday either.
Well, I could do it if you guys want to do it like via StreamYard. We can do that. Like you sit in your house, you sit in your house. My daughter's having one of her get-togethers.
Oh,
Remember that story?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dad, can I have a few people over?
No.
Now again, I'm going to ask you guys.
All of Northville came.
If somebody says, "Can I have a few people over?" What does a few people mean? 4, 5, 6. There were 30 some odd kids at my house. So now when she does that crap with me, I say, "How many people, Lauren?" And she just looked at me and she goes, "A lot." Okay, so now I know.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't have you guys over on Friday night, but we can do StreamYard if you want, because I'm going to lock myself in the room anyway and watch the game.
heck yeah.
So
I'll be on the back deck.
my daughter's family reunion again. Yes, it always does that. Tony said, "Are you going to finish that?" Yes, we are, Tony.
Yes.
I always used to ask Tony when we had our appearances at 10 North. He always had a wonderful plate of food, and I'd look over and go, "You going to finish that?" Because Lord knows I'll finish your plate. Florida by 2 today. Brett, that's what I said. 3-1. All right, go.
Hopefully.
Quickly. What do you
Florida.
got? All right.
I need 2-0 Florida.
Florida.
Or 3-1.
Congratulations to the Florida Panthers, your 2024 Stanley Cup champions. See you soon. Later.
Yeah.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Belegian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.